Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Norton Gaming channel, where Cats and I will be having some fun watching people play Starcraft 2, the greatest game of all time. I see you, Brood War elitist, but I said what I said. And we're actually getting it started with a 1v1 with a love you viewer that we'll get into in a second. But Cats, first of all, how you doing? How's it been since I last saw you, which was a couple weeks ago?
I'm doing great, Jess. Ordered me some chicken, so I'm waiting on that. And otherwise, looking forward to these games and to coach our good friend Ox
Yep.
through them. Yeah. How are you doing?
Exactly. Yeah. I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. I am excited to get into some StarCraft too. And I know that I think over the years, both of us have done at least a little bit of coaching. I do subscriber replays, and it's a lot of fun to look in on it. I hope Ox is going to have fun as well. But like I said, we'll get into that in a second. First, we're actually going to hear from a word from Norton rather in this video. So we'll be right back. All right, nice and quick. Welcome back. So, like I said, we're going to be getting into a 1v1 with Ox. That is the name we're going to be going with. So, Ox in games going to be facing actually another familiar face, which is going to be a nice username. And we're going to have ourselves what looks to be a good old fashioned Terran versus Protoss on Hardwire. So, how do you usually like to approach these type of sessions, Cats?
I think we should cater to Ox and how comfortable he feels with us talking his ear. Or how would you are you okay with us talking Ox? Are you comfortable talking and playing at the same time? Hells yeah. Then let's do that.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. TVP Ox. How are you gonna open on Hardwire? Okay, Jess. What should he do?
Ooh, one Rex expand. Okay. And then we can work off of that into a Wood on Mine drop, and then we'll see what technology nice username is going for. And I won't cheat. I'll just watch your vision. There we
Oh,
go.
okay. I was on Okay, we'll just watch your vision, Ox.
Seems a little unfair. Just be
That
like,
is
well, by
true.
the
That
way,
is
he's going
true.
Stargate, so
Yeah,
counter
but
that
we're on the
immediately.
yeah. I mean, Norton will protect you from hackers, of course. So there's
So we're
that.
gonna try and protect
Try to
ourselves.
yeah.
There's some segue there. But yeah, so far so good. Perhaps not the most specific of builds. Sounds like you don't usually have a direction, but don't have any complaints so far. I assume we're gonna get a Reaper and get some scouting done. Certainly the most important thing for the beginning of StarCraft 2.
Love it. Slowly saturating the gas as well. So Ox is definitely prioritizing the mineral income, and he's gonna have just enough gas for a Reaper. It looks like when their barracks is done. So let's go, Ox. You can do it.
I wholeheartedly believe that he's gonna win. Actually,
Yeah, me too. He's looking very powerful so far. So here's the
well,
one rack to expand. When should he take his second gas, Jess?
um, you know what? I do everything by instinct, so let me just put
Mhm.
myself in the driver's seat for a second and pretend I'm spamming my hotkeys right now. And then factory, then gas. It took me a second.
Alrighty, so we're gonna have a factory next. I'm guessing as soon as possible,
Yep,
and then second gas now or
soon.
soon. Are we proxying the starport or no?
Ooh, that's a good question. That's up to Ox, actually.
Up to you, Ox.
You want to proxy a starport and do a Hellion drop?
Oh,
kind of up to him. Right now, we need to focus on getting some scouting information, see what's going on. And not able to see the technology. Yeah, it would be so nice, but we don't want to lose that Reaper.
Yeah, at least we got to see the stalker there. Shouldn't be too much of an issue for Ox. Do we want a bunker in case there's pressure coming out? Oh, ah.
It would be perhaps pertinent.
Mhm.
Stalker's pretty good. I want to get the second gas, by the way. Yeah, go ahead. You got it. Usually, if you are, if you especially are uncomfortable in the early game, getting a faster bunker is going to make you feel nice and comfy and safe.
Mhm.
This ends up being an okay timing, just because nice usernames and actually being really aggressive. You know, stalkers do pretty well against Marines before Stim, but on the other hand, the Protoss is also kind of scared of what's happening, so they might actually keep stalkers at home. Yeah, it took a while for them to actually get courageous and bring the stalker over, so it ends up being perfectly timed. Good filling
Perfect
of the
timing,
gas
Ox.
there.
Hells yeah. And now we start the medevac here. We're gonna have like 3 widow mines
Supply depot.
to boot. It looks like.
Supply depot. Ooh.
Make 2 at this point, Ox.
Yeah, I would say build two. Good SCV production. So far, the production's all right.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, this is he's. We need more supply depots, Ox, in the back or somewhere safe.
Yeah, somewhere a bit safer. That is the downside of trying to create that wall. But it's all right. Just get that Widowmine drop starting to go out.
Yeah, and at this point, crisis management, Ox. I think you either gotta drop another CC or something. Yeah, gotta spend that
Yep,
money.
that's exactly right. And you can get tech labs on your factory in Starport,
Mm-hmm.
so you can swap them. Or well, the barracks are done, so you can do whatever you want now. Okay? And they
Perfect.
usually reactor on the Starport, right? So, again, good SCV production is consistently building supply depots. And let's maybe focus on the drop. It's headed into the main now.
Let's go, Ox. You can do it. Oh,
Question
lovely
is,
drop.
can nice username pull the pro?
Oh, oh,
Oh no!
very nice. Ox,
Yeah.
drop 2 eBays and then look at your mine again. Okay, very nice, Ox.
Yeah. Nice micro. Same cannot necessarily be said for Joey.
Yeah.
Who pulled into the gas geyser, which is not the best thing.
Not the play. Oh, Ox.
It'll be okay if you lose it. Yeah, I'm gonna
It's
lose
fine.
it.
It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's alright. Get the combat shields. Ah, you're actually very low on gas. Third gas and fourth, I would say at this point as well.
Yeah, don't be afraid to queue up more supply depots as well, like one at a time, even just with the people that are idle. And yeah, let's focus on upgrades once you can get them, and otherwise, just make non-gas units, I guess, to save up for those upgrades.
True. True, true, true. Maybe a little bit of scouting on the map. You no longer have anything kind of keeping the Protoss back. Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful. Now you're saturated on your main and natural, so this would be good to take a third. Just place your tank in a neutral position. Whoa, big blink.
Uh-oh. It's kind of a late attack. We might be able to hold this one.
Oh, but no stim yet.
Yeah, that's true. We might want to back away, actually.
Pull the
Pull
CVs,
the
pull the CVs, pull the
SCVs.
CVs. Siege your tank as well, Lux.
Yep. Keep reducing. Get that war prism. Get the war prism. Oh! Woo! Okay. All right. Now the problem is protecting the tank, though. That might be a little tricky.
Yeah, it's getting a little tricky for sure. Keep SCV production if you can. There's the stim. Oh,
Oh, there might be too many
Joey, I hate
stalkers,
him.
though. Yeah.
And
GG.
GG.
All right.
All right, Ox. I mean, this was going pretty well up
Dang.
until that that supply block. That supply block was really long, and maybe we could have taken the gases a little bit sooner because Stim seemed to be missing from the fight big time.
Mm-hmm. Also got to pay attention to the scouting, right? So we got in. We didn't worry about losing the medevac so much, but take a look at the actual base layout of Nice username. He didn't even have just 4 gateways. That wasn't like a late 4-gate attack. He had 6. So I actually think you were in a good spot, but that ended up being crisis management, right? So you didn't actually get the bunkers down, which would have helped. Um, but even without the bunkers, we had a decent amount of bio. I think at that point, yeah, pulling away from the engagement once you realize it's not going to work and buying some time may have been able to do the trick. Because the Protoss is also really hesitant to like full on engage if your army runs back into the natural and they're going to chase after. It's a bit dangerous for them. But Dirty Joey actually
Dirty
doing a
Joey.
2 base all in.
Yeah. The other
I'm
thing,
going to be
Ox, is
honest. I expected him to macro.
yeah. The other thing, Ox, is you want to think of things that you can do preemptively as far as like to mitigate for your during crisis management, right? So if you get a supply block that big again, you have to be thinking about what can you do instead. Like Zombie Grab pointed out, you could have dropped add-ons, for example, because those take time and they, you don't make units during making add-ons. So that's a really good thing to do. The command center is good. Just dropping extra production would be fine too instead. And another thing is, if you're gonna make a tank, which I think is fine, you want to have it sieged. So siege
Right.
it somewhere. Um, in this case, since we saw a lot of blink stalkers, it would have been good to siege between your main and your natural. Or since we saw a lot of stalkers, I guess. But yeah, otherwise just siege it at all, and that'll be good.
Yeah.
True. Well, a couple of things to fix. But I think really easy things too, because I think your SEV production is very good, and your production in general was pretty good. It just was that supply block that was killer and the gas timings. Because actually, I think if you had both of those fixed, if you're playing, basically flawlessly up to that point, Joey's attack is quite late, honestly. So would have
Yeah,
been even better off. So that's on us. We could have pointed those things out faster. We're being bad coaches.
yeah,
Blame us entirely. But
that's on
let's try
us,
again,
Ox.
game 2.
We'll mess him up,
All
Ox.
right.
And if you had Steam during that attack, you would have destroyed him as well. So
Yeah.
Let's pretend it's a best of 3.
it's episode 3.
Okay, well.
Here we go.
So again, the opener was great. Second gas, a bit faster. But you knew the opening. You knew the gas second, supply depot, Reaper Marine, then factory. So let's do that again.
Let's do it again. Should we mix it up just so that it's not the exact same, or do we say Joey did not answer the mines well and just go exact same? We could do the Hellions into Hellion drop instead.
We could. The potential issue with the Hellion drop is the delayed production of the factory. So ours was not the cleanest production of the factory, just because we had that gas problem, so we weren't consistently producing tanks.
Yeah.
But 4 Hellions opposed to usually 2 Wood Mines, I know we kind of stuck a third one in there, can impact, how many tanks you have in the defense of a Blink Stalker attack.
True.
So
And the Starford proxy too could be dangerous.
yeah, might be dangerous against Joey, who clearly is not playing honorably. Sturdy
Clearly.
Protoss.
All right, so we got the same opening here from Ox. It should be pretty good this time, Ox. Make us look good, please.
Try.
Thank you.
I still think it's on us.
For sure.
I will say, anytime I've ever coached someone in real time, especially with the true just like backseating, like telling you everything you're doing wrong as soon as you're doing it, oh, your MMR drops.
Oh, for sure.
You're not accustomed to listening and doing things. So there is that.
Yeah. Ox is pretty chill though, so that's good. He's just, absorbing.
Yeah.
Let's see what we can find here. The first Reaper. Just keep on producing SUVs as you do.
Well-timed bunker. Yep, already a smoother opener here.
Mm-hmm. And we chill. Don't worry too much about the Reaper. It's not worth a lot of attention. Just, yeah, don't lose it
Yeah,
for now, and we'll scout after.
exactly. Now would be a good time to try and dive in and see what's going on. Nice. Clicked on
Very
that.
nice.
Twilight Council. Got to worry about that blink stuff again.
Add-on complete. Command center
Excellent, Ox. So this is good because we're gonna have an opportunity, it looks like, to defend against the same thing and do the same thing but better, right? So things that we talked about will come into play, which is fantastic, most likely.
Good supply depot. It's the one you missed last time. And yeah, we can fit in the third Widowmine. Supply depot. Yep, you got it. And then soon you'll be able to afford your extra barracks. Yep.
base is
Well done, well
under
done. Gonna add those tech labs this time. Yep. And then race over with the medevac, because this is your second scout. The first Reaper sees the basis, what technology path. The second scout is your medevac drop to see if it's 4-gate, 8-gate, DTs, something like that.
add-on complete. Add-on
Which we're also going to start worrying about. So either you can get a Raven if you wanted, or you just want to save a scan at this point. I'm going to say 2 scans, just in case. You'll notice a lot of pros are pretty good about saving scans between 430 and 5.
Don't drop all of them here if you can. Just take one to the main.
Let's try and cause as much chaos as possible. And then, it is a Dark Shrine, so...
Start an eBay right away.
Yep.
And make sure to save scans. Take those gases at your natural as well. And yeah, just produce units non-stop from everything that you can produce units from. You have 300 gas, so use your factory. Tank is good. And yeah, no mules. Until we're safe.
complete.
Yeah. Good start in the upgrades. The third is going to be a little delayed because of those gas takes, but rather have the production.
Yeah, we could
And
even
this'll-
go for a move out as well. Maybe add another barracks. Like, not right now. I
Ooh,
mean,
no.
no. I mean, just save scans, like defend it, because he is taking his third, right? So, yeah, it's. I guess it's up to you if you want to move out eventually, like once you amass enough units, or if you want to match him in the eco game.
Missiles right at the front near your bunker is also really helpful. That way in the future they also... Oh, okay, in the main base. Yeah, you got it.
Base is under
Oh, right for the tech labs.
Scan.
Good siege.
Very good.
Yeah, repair those tech labs. He might try and target them in the future.
our SCV
Oh, natural. Pull the natural.
Yeah, your production is still very good during all this.
Mm-hmm.
Keep that up. Oh, nasty.
Sucks to lose the tank, but we'll
Um,
have to recover.
I would load up your 2 medevacs and go with your bio.
Yeah.
Or even, yeah.
And just keep producing. Maybe transfer some of your SCVs in the main to get some efficient mining.
Yeah, your third medevac can go to his main or somewhere else as well. And you can just Q drop it and not worry about it too much. Just look at it and stim eventually. And the rest just for defense for now. And maybe third CC when you have the money. Saturate your gases at the natural.
So actually stop building SCVs. You actually have enough to saturate 2 bases. Just so you can get your third CC and continue producing.
Move in at the third first, and then at the main if you can handle that.
want to scan ahead. Oh, no charge. Okay, good.
This is good.
It's a
Just
bit
go for it.
late.
Go for
Nice. This is good.
it. Run into the mineral line with your marines at the main. Don't over micro. It's okay.
Yeah, just get out of there. All
Beautiful.
right, and keep producing back at home. Supply depots, maybe just call down. Oh no. Oh, that sucks. That sucks. But it happens.
That's okay. You did a lot in the main. 16 probes died. Oh, that's yeah, hacks.
Yeah. Yeah, just keep that tucked in the corner. That'll be an annoyance he has to deal with. 2 extra barracks.
Can put one at the tech lab.
Yep.
Oh, that works.
That's fine. Yeah, that works. So far, so good. Prepare to take your third. So, you know, move your army out. Maybe build a missile turret. Maybe a bunker. We know he's going to try and harass us.
Mineral field.
That siege tank maybe in a location where it protects both your natural and your third next time. Or,
Oh, DT on your SCV. Yeah. Oh, that's a no. Oh, okay, good job, tank.
Research complete.
Supply depots.
We're kind of low on medevacs as well.
Command center upgrade complete.
Yeah, get that third command center down. Yeah. Then transfer. Yeah, you got it. All right, so it looks like we made have F2'd our harass medevac back, so we really have no vision. Yeah, you can put the medevac back, and then maybe try and take like the Zelnaga.
Add-on.
Maybe Marine to the right, to the left, common attack paths.
Yeah, we can also scan to see what he's doing, like what his army looks like and stuff like that.
Oh, War Prism Internatural.
Upgrade.
Oh, good reaction. Gonna get the War Prism at least. Okay.
Mineral field under attack. Our SCV.
You know, and if you do F2, don't worry about it, but if that's what gets you to react to the main, it's better. Ooh, Natural's also under fire. Everywhere's under fire.
Joey's crazy.
Is under attack.
Looks like you got the missile turret in the main. That's a bummer.
Yeah, gotta remake that. Keep up upgrades if you can.
Okay, so reevaluate, just produce SCVs.
We did lose a lot of SCVs.
Mm-hmm.
It could be go time. I mean, he has a fourth. Are we gonna catch up in economy? Seems difficult.
Yeah, I think Katz is right. Let's go.
Let's go.
I would actually even suggest moving that starport onto a Raven to tech lab for the Raven. As someone who throws 1 DT at a time to a mini Terrans, it's very annoying.
Oh, there he is. Ox, you can do it.
Oh, the storm is a bit. Ooh, that's scary. That's scary. Maybe the tank can take him out.
Okay, this is a good start to the fight. Scan ahead of the
Scan
ramp
ahead.
always. Okay, go to the other angle. Just avoid this. No, down.
Yeah,
there,
yeah. There you go. And keep producing back at home. We got a Raven on the way, and that's also going to give us mules again. Yeah, exactly.
He has very few Templars, so try to stem a few Marauders forward to take him down. Scan ahead next time.
Mineral field depleted.
And I would not rally. Ooh, careful. Ooh, he's not paying attention. Nice. Gonna lose a handful of Marines. Okay, your Raven just popped. It's on the way. Keep the aggression up.
Yeah. This looks good, Ox.
Ooh.
Ah!
Run.
Okay, this doesn't look good, Ox. Make some more SCVs.
And I would say just evacuate.
Yeah, evacuate as much as you can, as well as you can. Very good. That's good. That's great. Good reaction. F2 back. Stim.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep the
Yeah,
production up.
unload.
Do you like ghosts, Ox?
Yeah, not really.
Okay, then let's keep up Marauder production.
Yeah.
Mineral
And you could even swap off the Raven production.
I like that.
And for medevacs, yes, but ooh, okay, engagement.
Oh, might have to pull a CVs. Show. Ah, he has too much.
Yeah, it's too much. Damn, GG. Counter was good though. Katz was right about the counter. Just he really pushed the multitasking. I think even what really started it was that our second missile turret in the natural, I think, finished after the DT ran in, and that was our first real like hurt point because we lost, I think, 18 SCVs. I wanna say.
Yeah, and later we lost like 25 or something. So that was a
Yeah,
little bit
later
rough
on.
with the multitasking. Was really good from Joey there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, good effort, Ox. I think that that you had that this game was a lot cleaner than the first. I think, and yeah, Joey was dirty as it gets. I mean, just you know, blink all in into
Yes.
DT into DTs. What a nasty.
Yeah. Yeah. You have any questions? You want us to elaborate on anything? Okay. I think it's like as I was saying previously, like your foundations are certainly there. Like the production is there. And we tightened up the build order a little bit too, so it looked pretty nice. So then it just came down to the multitasking, which does get easier when you have more units. Sure, there's always that improvement. We're not Maru, but yeah, just kind of like locking down and being overly cautious next time might be the play. And it does get tricky. It does get annoying because you're going to be overly cautious of the Terran, and the Protoss is going to do what Joey did, build Nexus after Nexus, and you're going to be like, ah. But you really have to choose your moments, and Cats chose the right moment when we were pretty far down, so that can happen. Sometimes, yes, F2 all in can work, but
Yeah,
it just sucks we
your
took so much damage.
your army was actually bigger than his the entire time up until the very last fight, pretty much. So you always had a good chance. But yeah, I mean, key pieces like sniping the Templars, for example, would have gone a long way if you could have done that. Like just grab like 4 Marauders and send them forward to snipe the 2 Templars when you scanned. That would have been really good. Another thing is just like just was saying, like preempting defense. It doesn't have to be even a huge effort. Just try to think about the key pieces that you have, like the tank. Like the tank should be sieged somewhere between the natural and the third. Like high grounds are really good for stuff like that. Um, just stuff that's preemptively helping you so that you don't have to multitask as much or pay as much attention. Yeah, and the other thing is cause. Try to think about how to cause chaos on the other side as well with minimum effort. So, for example, you were looking at your Reaper a lot early game. Like, don't worry about that too much. Just do your thing back at home. But there are moments where, like, for example, dropping the mines on different bases is really huge because then they have to look on different places. Trying to time your attacks so the 2 medevacs at the third, for example, arriving first is so that he gets the alert at the third, and then your Marines at the main can run into his mineral line unannounced, basically, right? Which is kind of what happened to you as well with the Rambai in your natural base. After the DTs, you lost a lot because you were looking in your main. So try to think about stuff like that. And you don't have to think about it actively or like every game. It's kind of just, it'll come natural if you just, think about, oh, okay, I should do this. Then you always do it pretty much. Like 1-2 punches and stuff like that. But yeah, I think your foundations are really strong, Oaks.
All right. I think that was the last we can see of Nice username. He got the 2-0. Dirty ways, but still he did.
Yeah.
A win's a win as it is, but it's been very fun coaching you. I hope we helped at least some degree. As I was saying, I think we're gonna hurt at the moment. It's gonna not just be pleasant listening to people talking to you while you're trying to play such an action-packed game. But I'm a firm believer in the behind the shoulder coaching. I used to get it when I was actually trying to be good at this game many years ago. At the time, I just wanted to yell at the guy who was telling me to do everything. but afterwards it was like, oh, I actually feel kind of faster. That's awesome. But anyways, well done. Thank you so much for coming on, Ox. I know it takes a little bit of I guess guts to come on and have your games reviewed, especially to an audience. But I really appreciate it. You did an awesome job.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Ox.
All right. So that particular segment is done, but don't worry, we have more to do here on the Norton Gaming Showcase. We actually are going to be going into further replays from the community, and I think a couple of these replays are actually going to be a lot of fun. So stick around, and we're just going to go into a short, very short break, and we'll be right back.
Breathe in. You are a gaming legend. You are a king among streamers. You have power over hackers, malware, and viruses. You are cyber safe.
I told you it was quick, and we're already back. And as I said, we're going to be going into some replays that were submitted in advance. I'm actually familiar with the replays you're going to be getting into. These are guys that I cast, I guess, on the regular. And I got to say, one of them is quite the interesting player. And the other one's actually just a really solid player. I think he actually submitted a replay where he's facing a grandmaster. So he's on the up and up. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get these up and running. Let's start off with the interesting, weird one first. We'll see how weird he is today. Sometimes not, but he says specifically, this is some special tactics. I'd love to hear
Nice.
your and Katz's opinion. It might be extra fun to watch with the APM tab open once in a while. Huh. I wonder what that could be. You think it's really low or really high?
Probably really low.
Probably. Yeah, I'm going to guess that as well. I'm going to guess there's like moments of 20 APM for a minute, but don't have to necessarily play fast. Play smart.
Exactly.
So if you could
Exactly.
invite our observer, that'd be great. I think I managed to lose him.
Oh, got him.
Get him.
Is it Hurt one that we're watching?
Yeah,
Or is it? Oh, cool.
it has hurt one, yes.
He's stuck on entering lobby.
Did he try to join off of you? That might be the problem. Replays are a little tricky in StarCraft 2. Not gonna
Yeah, he
lie.
tried. Yeah, a little bit. Game's in beta, so it makes sense.
If you could exit out and rejoin, then I'll try to
Okay.
invite you. I don't know why you left the channel.
He'll restart the game.
Okay. Yeah. And worst case scenario, easy fix. You just hand the replay to the other person. Easy peasy. We do have to sometimes coordinate around StarCraft 2's difficulty, don't we?
Yeah, no doubt. But
There's
we'll be
no
good to go
hiding that
soon.
anymore.
Yeah. We don't have to change the replay interface on our end, right?
No, only if we wanted to take control,
Okay, cool.
which we won't do. Which I've not actually heard the someone's used the take control feature in a while. It's something you can do and you can prove to your friends. Like I would have won if I just did this better. I haven't heard anyone doing it lately. Anyways, so we also have a couple of giveaways that we have going, guys. So just a reminder that you can type, I believe it's !key for me. So KEY, the number 4 ME in chat for the entering of the giveaway. We'll be reminding you as well throughout the rest of the stream, just about in an hour and some more. Okay, great. Now we got everyone in. I'm going to press that watch button and we'll have very interesting things to talk about, I think. Hurt One has done some really wacky stuff. And maybe Cats will sit here and be like, it's not that wacky because, proxy hatch, who cares?
I'm sure it's wacky. Oh, look at him. He has the It's About Time portrait.
I know. Yeah. He's actually super OG. It's the rarest portrait in the game. I think tied with the community member portrait.
Very cool.
Right? Yeah, it's a rare one. We can head into game. and give Hurt One some pointers, or just simply exclaim about how interesting a player this guy is, and he's the kind of the one we're cheering for. I'm sorry, Bear, but we're kind of cheering for Hurt One, and he's in the bottom right as Terran.
Yeah. And already he's going for a gas first, and he sent his first SCV just about across the map. So we're going to see Proxy Rax Reaper by the looks of it to start. And very fast factory to follow, most likely. So we'll see. Okay, he's just going to go for the natural base. Oh, it's a Zerg that he's up against. Cool. Like, I thought it was a Protoss. Just from, from the opener. But this is
Nope.
interesting.
Yeah, I will say that Hurt One, he is a free spirit. Not held down by the rigid build orders that many others are. But he always has a plan. There's always something there that he's thinking of doing. So this is actually not it is very rare as a build, the proxy barracks next to the Zerg's hatchery. But believe it or not, I've even seen some NAGMs do it, NA pros do it.
Yeah.
It's still a funky build, but I'm interested to see how it works out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he'll probably make a bunker, I imagine, after, and marine production. Then looks like he's gonna proxy a factory and a starport after, most likely. So, like, yeah, I do something similar in PvT, but I've never thought about doing it in this matchup. And there's that bunker, there's marines, so expecting the factory by the gold there. And this is definitely very interesting. Also, not fully saturating one of his gases, just a 2 out of 3, which I like. So he has this worked out. And yeah, with Terran, you kind of have to plan ahead, right? But it's cool that he does his own thing, because it's very difficult to do that with Terran of all races.
Zerg's a little more of the free spirit, stereotypically, I suppose, but he's making it work. Is right. This is perhaps something you'd see in a TVP, absolutely, with professionals. But TVZ, that's certainly more rare. It works to the same degree, though. Building buildings in Starcraft have less vision, so Bear only was able to see the bunker building when the hatchery finished. It was a complete surprise. And his overlords, they didn't necessarily go in a path for 2 racks. Who would have checked the natural anyways?
Yeah, and it looks like Bear is making a lot of units on response already. So as far as SCV production, because it's just a single barracks commitment on this side, it's doing so much just to force out units, to force out spine. The queens are saving energy for transfuse that they would rather be injecting with. So Bear has had enough of it, and he's gonna go for some sort of pull-in. Hurt One actually dropped the factory and the starport back at home, which makes a lot of sense, anticipating that this could be a response. But he's producing Hellions, which worries me a little bit if Bear wants to go for those roaches, since he does have the roach one.
True. I would say that's the one thing that Hurt One is missing, is that scouting information. Is it a baneling bust? Is it speed? Is it roaches? Which we know the answer to, but he's going to find out perhaps later on. Only one SCV to repair that bunker. Eventually we'll go down, but looks like a bit of focus fire on that queen. It's at least that successfully. Sees that it's still slow lings. And while we have to consider, maybe not the most perfect build orders, right? Generally, you're going to see no speed on those lings. You're going to wonder what's actually happening in that main. Did they take the gas? Where would that gas be going? And you could perhaps follow that trail to roaches or even a fast lair, for some very odd, fast muta stuff. But it's Hurt One who is playing the otter game. That SCV that went to the gold, it's Command Center.
Yeah. So that's going to be difficult to find for Bear, very unsuspecting. If he did find it, I mean, roaches would have been amazing. He did make the roach warren, which is a little bit of a mistake on his side, because he didn't actually make any roaches. And he made a lot of links that did not pay off too much. He does manage to defend the bunker and the barracks, but Hurt One's going to be pretty happy with his opening. And now I imagine about to produce a tank as well for safety. He's making a PF at the gold. He's going for battle cruisers, it looks like, as there's a fusion core on the way. Or is
yeah. So it looks like a Hellion drop, but only 2 Hellions, so that's not the most effective. 3 Hellions, the ones that one-shot the workers. And then, I was going to say, I think he's going to transport the Starfort and build that battle cruiser. Good idea, though. If you can get 2 forms of harassment, that's always going to be more difficult for anyone really to tackle. So if you can get a drop to the left and a battlecruiser to the right, and then the Zerg might also scout this planetary and say, well,
Oh,
what
I
the
like
heck do I
this.
do about that? It's gonna be complicated.
Yeah, and this is actually kind of cool. He's loading the SCVs into the medevac, and he's going around the vision as well because he knows where the Overlord is. So he's not traveling a straight line to his gold, but rather going around. So this is pretty clever. What is he drop? Oh, he's dropping the SCVs in the main to repair the battle cruiser
Yeah,
that's so cool actually.
that is sick. That is sick. There's so many. Yeah, I was totally thinking the Hellion drop, but transferring them to the gold, I think would have still been really cool.
Mhm.
But a step even farther to take him into the main and teleport the battlecruiser in. I mean, that is big brain thinking.
That is
Uh,
very clever.
what he could also do is put all of these SCVs on auto repair, and then if he happens to pick any of them up, they'll start repairing each other in the medevac. So
Mhm. Yeah,
tidbits.
this is actually super cool. I've never seen this done before, and I think it could actually work. I mean, obviously, if there's like lings or roaches out in big numbers, it can be pretty annoying but there's the medevac too, right? So you could load them up, and it's not like the queens want to be wasting fire on anything that is not the battle cruiser. So very, very cool move here with the SCVs. The battle cruiser is gonna pick up a few overlords for free. And on the other side of things, I mean, the one thing for Hurt One though is he would have died like a billion times to roach attacks. Even like now, the roaches are sitting outside of his base. They could be really dangerous. So a tank would have been really nice, maybe.
That's true. The Banshee's a good idea, but unfortunately, supply block came in. That's very unfortunate timing. Banshee will eventually pop once it's started. Even if the Tech Lab dies, it'll still finish. And this will be cleaned up. The question is how much damage? And then the second question is, does it truly matter? Because we have a planetary and a cold base. So
Yeah,
that's always a backup plan.
that is always a very good backup plan. I mean, you still wouldn't want to lose all the production, all the supply depots. Mines, again, not my favorite here. I think a tank would have done much better, but the mines will actually go off, and it'll work out for now. And Hurt One, I mean, his battle cruiser is just doing wonders for him.
Yeah, looks like the medevac got sniped, but I mean, the battle cruisers have already bullied so many queens. They've killed 3, and there wasn't a tremendous amount to begin with, so they're bullying again 3 of them. They have to go back to a spore crawler, really. So battle cruiser is going to reign supreme in the main. If you target that spire, you wouldn't care.
I would just move into the main mineral line and force him to evacuate. There's not even a spore there anymore. So that's like for the firepower of the battlecruiser, drones are gonna be the most costly for the amount of time that you're gonna spend killing them, right? Like he's spending a lot of time killing each overlord, and they cost $100, but you could kill a lot more drones in that same amount of time. So I think that would be good. Hurt One did lose most of his SCVs, but he's in a fantastic economic position.
Yeah, he's doing really well. The battlecruiser eventually gets... Oh, jeez Louise, pulled back. That was super close. 25 health. A couple of queen shots, but good pullback, and then it looks like the planet is going into mass battlecruiser. Of course, we got some upgrades for the planetary. Nice auto tracking, which still has not been found out, by the way. Everything that goes to the middle of the map, it's a natural rally, it's natural path, does not see that cold base. Amazing.
Yeah, and to what he was saying earlier, by the way, on the APM, like his APM is so low, like he could be playing with one hand, I swear, which is very impressive, right? Like to make a game, this close and this good with so little, is very impressive. Capital ships are pretty good with that because they cost so much and they're so sluggish to move around into micro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely, I think, something that he's been able to work out for himself, right? Like, there's a lot of conversation in StarCraft about what do you need mechanics-wise? What APM do you need? I mean, that was an even bigger conversational point in Brood War. But you can do this, and I think Hurt One is platinum, if not diamond. And most people are going to watch a replay like this and kind of scoff and say, well, it's definitely silver. Because, the build orders are very weird. Or the APM's really low. And it's like, well, actually, StarCraft 2 has a lot of potential. If you're facing Clem eventually, you may have to conform. but
Mhm.
till then, you're pretty good to go. And this planetary, now found out, still works wonders against the small squad of Roach Ravager.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of things that you can do to work around your strengths and like the mechanical differencing between players, such as like capital ships is a good way to do it, right? Like Protoss has the carriers, Terran has the battle cruisers. Those guys do not need to be micro too much, as this one will not have gotten repaired, so it will end up falling. This is a PF. I hate that skin, by the way. I
Yeah.
thought it was an orbital up until it started shooting.
Yeah, it's deceiving. It's especially deceiving. Like the orbital might be a little like enough of a difference, but compare the planetary and the normal skin, the regular command center skin that's now being attacked. That's where it's so similar. Gonna miss the opportunity to kill this planet. Yeah, the corruptors have to come over and kill it, but there's still so many. There's still so many bases. Bear knows about all of them at this point. But I think at this point, a lot of people would kind of get almost choice overload, you know, in StarCraft,
Mhm.
where they see their opponent doing a lot of things and they want to stop all the things, and then they inadvertently just spread themselves too thin. And I think
Mm.
Hurtwin is really good at capitalizing on that specifically, because he certainly loves his secret command centers.
Yeah, and Bear is doing a good job of doing one thing at a time. That obviously could have hit both the turret and the orbital, so there's a little room for improvement in terms of efficiency. But yeah, Bear's not doing too bad himself. Hurt One is building up those battle cruiser numbers though, and those are very difficult to answer. Again, and the ease of control for the capital ships makes it that much harder for your opponent, because it's not like, you know, you give Clem those battle cruisers or you know, max pack some carriers, and it's not like they can do much more than than a lower league player could, right? Like they're just not very micro units because they're so slow.
Mm-hmm. Fortunately, the battlecruiser at least got that one micro addition, which has turned it into a more useful and more fun unit. That's the teleport.
Yeah.
It looks like these planetaries, all of them are finally going down. Finally enough Roach Ravager, especially the Ravagers, make it a lot easier with the Corrosive Biles. But that puts Hurt One down to, right now, one base mining, really. But the battle cruisers warp in, obliterate the Spire, no more Corruptors. It's 10 Corruptors to 6 battle cruisers, 5 of which are on the other side of the map. And there's Corruptors with the Queens. All the battlecruisers use their Yamato. Oh no, not one. One has Yamato.
Yeah, I wonder if I think it's better to save the Yamato for the Corruptors. Then he would
Yeah.
just delete 6 of them.
Yes.
But yeah, he just wanted to go after the Spire right away. And
Ooh.
I mean, he's still in a great position. Hurt One. It looks like it's going to be very difficult for
Oh,
Bear.
the Widowmines.
Oh, the Widow Mites indeed, but that's a PF. And the battle cruisers tactical jump is available? No, it's not. So they can't retreat.
That's still so much damage on the Roach Ravager. And so many of the units also are now in range of the planetary, which, don't forget, has been upgraded with both building armor and high-sec auto tracking. You know, it eventually will fall down, but it's going to cost the Zerg almost, I want to say, like 60% of their ground army. And certainly the health of these units is going to be damaged for a while. So the second Widowmine shots are going to start actually killing them.
That is so painful. And now these battle cruisers are trying to just end the game, basically. Lots of spores, but there's only one base remaining. The map looks really blue. So it looks like Hurt One has done it. Can we pull the APM tab again? Just to check it out. Is there an APM tab? I don't even know.
It's in the top left right now. 75 is the average for Hurt One, but he is spiking up to 200 at this point. Oh, no, back down to 50. Oh.
75 average is super, super low. So very, very cool game.
The Widowmine, like the battle cruisers corralled the roaches back into the Widowmines. At this point, I'd say that her one is 100% won, but Bear not tempted to tap out, is he?
Not at the moment. Yeah, he has his Spore Fortress, I guess. But
Yeah.
his game's all but done. Maybe we can speed it up a little bit, Awesome Sauce. Put it at ×2.
You can put it at ×2, yeah. I don't think there's anything explosive left over. There's no infestors for like neural parasite. There's no if there's like 10 corruptors about to pop, maybe, but the battlecruiser count with Yamato, with teleport, yeah, it's a fearsome unit. The first one might not be that bad, although in this game, the addition of the SCVs was really cool.
Yeah,
But
that was awesome.
yeah, it's when you suddenly realize your opponent's gotten a 6 without you really interrupting it that you start to worry a little.
XD.
XD. All right. GG. That was Hurt One, who by the way, a lot of his games look like that or even closer. Some super serious base trades have happened from this guy. It's always a pleasure to watch your replays, Hurt One. But yeah, he specifically asked, you know, we wanted to hear your and I thoughts, and I think especially you, even though I'm now a bona fide cheeser, I think you're still known for being the creative Zerg.
I think the SCV move with the battle cruisers was one of the coolest things I've seen in a while. So yeah, there's that. I think that was awesome. Obviously, the rest of the moves, you know, like can be a little bit like I like the planetary fortress and the gold, for example, but at a higher level that would always get scouted and it would always get killed, right? So like there are certain moves that I guess you just can't get away with if your opponent's a little bit faster, a little bit better at spreading overlords, creep, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the build was cool, but defensively a tank would have been really good because in some situations the roaches will cross the map. So I think there's room to work with the ideas that he had and make it into a really strong concept that he can do reliably. But a lot of the time, I think it's that kind of thing requires a lot of iteration, which is kind of gruesome. You know, like you want to, like I'm an explorer myself, so I always want to try new stuff. But when you find something that's cool that can actually work, you want to work on it and stick with it for a little bit and just make sure you have all the kinks worked out before moving on. So I think that has a lot of potential, really cool replay.
Yeah. Well, I guess the other side of things, you know, if a Zerg's watching this, because I know there's plenty of Zerg out there who specifically have trouble even against mech and, yeah, battle cruisers. What would you say the Zerg was keen to do there to improve? If you're coaching the Zerg, what would
Okay,
your advice be?
so I think on the side of Bear, the first bunker is difficult to deal with, but once you realize it's just a one barracks and a bunker, the spine can actually siege the bunker from outside the range of the bunker, so it could have dealt with it almost by itself. There was no need to make all the circlings. It was fine to save transfuse maybe on one of the queens, but otherwise he could have just droned up, or he could have actually just gone for his roaches that he had planned, maybe drop 2 gases, and then move across the map with the roaches. Otherwise, the roach warren was unnecessary as well, and yeah, he kind of just slowed himself down a little bit too much with against the first bunker. So from then on, it was very difficult game for him.
True. The start was it threw off the Zerg, which especially for Zerg I think is important no matter what your level is. A lot of what you can see even in pros is like trying to throw them off.
Yeah.
But then I think that's the subtle beauty perhaps of what Hurt One was doing was that the bunker threw the Zerg off and then the battlecruiser threw the Zerg off. So the entire
Yeah.
time that they're trying to think of how they're going to recoup their losses or deal with this battlecruiser, they're not scouting. And that's why you can get away with a planetary at their own gold. So
And
I
from the
think
Zerg
that's
side, it's so difficult too to like evaluate because you've died to so many proxy racks that you see a proxied racks in your natural and you see a bunker going up and you have PTSD, you know, like it's just so difficult not to overreact that it's very difficult to be like, oh yeah, Bear, you messed up big time, you know. It's like he definitely overreacted, and there's like if you're gonna make the links at that point, if you're gonna make that many and you realize, oh my god, this was like such an undercommitment or an overcommitment for what he was doing, then maybe just start a bailing nest and go all in, because yeah, you just gotta be consistent with, you know, if you made a lot of units, you gotta put them to use, can't just have them sitting there.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes in general to the idea of being able to take a breath after everything has gone wrong and say, okay, well, I need a plan, right? Like a lot of the things that follow in StarCraft, the mechanics and all the things we talk about for pros often follow just the idea of having a plan. You know, even if your plan ends up bust or it's actually a bad plan, but you don't have any other plan, it's still better than just kind of going, you know, second by second and getting flustered. So that's usually I think the thing I see the most in those situations is just the person dealing with the weird stuff is just so like you sitting there being like, what I don't know what to do. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, okay, plan, roaches, okay, go.
Yeah.
Is better than nothing. But we actually have a second replay we're gonna be hopping into, so let's get this loaded up. This is Uncle Toby. He's been whoops, I pressed the wrong button, so give me a second. But he's been really good at improving these past couple of months, I guess over the last year. Because I think I started to watch his replays when he was Masters 3, but I think he had recently gotten there or something. And then now he's facing, as I was saying, GM. So that's on NA like 52, 53 right now, right?
Nice.
100. Sorry,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really good. He's
I'm not actually sure what it is right now because it's been fluctuating a lot. I think that
yeah.
since the Microsoft announcement, I think the NA ladder has actually been a little bit more active.
Mm.
So that's actually kind of cool. Like it's
Yeah,
harder to climb up. Yeah.
we can talk a little bit about that as we get an observer in here. But the Microsoft acquisition, right? So it's been a lot of news this past week, and we're also going to get into a bit of the last chance discussion later on. So it's not just all us watching replays, but we'll talk about some of the things happening in StarCraft 2 and our opinions. But we can kind of get into the Microsoft stuff, at least touch on it while we get this replay started up on Pride of Alteris. And my perspective, I gave in a video, but quick TLDR from me is that I'm optimistic. I actually think Microsoft is treated Age of Empires with dignity. Not even Age of Empires 4 specifically, but Age of Empires 2, an old game as old as Brood War. So that makes me hopeful.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely like it. I mean, they're kind of slow to updates, but you know, like
No one's
yeah,
perfect.
no one's perfect. Yeah. And yeah, all in all, it seems like pretty good news about Microsoft acquisition, and things seem to be running. I mean, there wasn't a lot of active support for StarCraft already, so the fact that they are even looking at it, that they are talking about it, that they are tweeting back at what's his name?
Oh yeah. Oh no, I can only remember the movie.
Yeah, let's say
That's
the
not his
movie.
name.
What's the movie?
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi. Is it a good movie? I haven't watched it.
You know, well, people thought it was one of the best Marvel movies
Yeah.
ever.
Oh, cool.
And I think that's a little bit of an over exaggeration. I thought it was fun. I thought it was good. And I really
Okay.
like the guy for sure. And I say it and I can't remember his name,
Mhm.
so it sounds very false.
Well,
But
they
he's
tweeted back at
yeah.
him, and they were like,
Yeah.
smiley face,
Oh,
face or
Simu
whatever.
Lu. Simu Lu. There we
Simulu,
go.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's awesome that that they're taking a proactive approach, at least into looking into the universe of StarCraft, and hopefully we'll see something from them.
Absolutely. I think people often forget that there was a canceled shooter that wasn't Ghost, StarCraft Ghost, because that was on the GameCube. Gosh, that was so long ago. But
Was it? I think it was like Nintendo 64 or something. It was
no,
like
no.
old.
I'm pretty sure it was coming around the same time as GameCube, because N64 had literally had Brood War. StarCraft 1 did not have Brood War. So that's a generation back. But yeah, no, the one that's I think people forget is that there was going to be one. It was in development 2 or 3 years ago, and then it was released. I guess that they had actually stopped production on it. So that was a bit of a bummer because I think it is one of the natural additions to the RTS genre is an FPS for StarCraft, which just makes sense. It's a war game.
Yeah, was that one actually announced even? Not really, right?
No.
Yeah.
No, they just had like a bunch of people come out and be like, "Oh yeah, this happened, and also we aren't working on the game we're working on anymore." So that kind of sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Anyways.
was gonna be pretty exciting. I had some ideas thrown at them for that. I
Yeah.
thought yeah, I thought you could have like like if you could play different units in the universe, like maybe like if you're a battle cruiser, it has a crew and it's like a team game, Like if you're a battle
Oh.
cruiser, like
Oh. That is actually so sick. That is
like stuff like that, Like
yeah, like a
I
little
think there was so
co-op
much
game.
potential.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
like different
Genius.
units are different games almost would have been so cool. But yeah, we have this game now where Uncle Toby is doing his thing. He's opened with a Stalker second to deny information that it is a robo, but will get scouted anyway. So that's cool.
Yeah, well, I gave a little bit of background already on the leagues, but to give background on the style, Uncle Toby, very straight up player, macro, which I used to be all about that macro life, especially when I was trying to improve. That was my choice of improvement. Other people will choose, timing attacks and being aggressive. And he's going through the honorable path of Protoss by macroing and then not always abusing Stargates anyways. Actually, in this game, really doing something interesting, and that is a robotics bay.
Yeah, so most likely a disruptor drop. He's gonna have to contend with this Ling Rambai though. Needs a building there, otherwise the Lynx are gonna get in. The pylon's gonna be late, so the Lynx will get in. Surrounds the Stalker as well. So this is a little bit troublesome for Uncle Toby. Didn't pull the probes in time either, so these Lynx stand to do a little bit more damage than they bargained for perhaps when they left their base. Now having to warp into a depths. But
Yeah.
and he will get scouted too, but yeah, it should be fine.
That is, I think, what is a big bummer is that everything got scouted. There was no more question marks for the Zerg player who would be able to identify in time, like, okay, well, it's not a Stargate. Okay, if Twilight Council, is it resonating late? There's a couple processes, but now Zerg doesn't have to. The good news for Uncle Toby, good crisis management, was able to think about placing a pylon down at the front to stop any further lings. And in combination with the fact that the Zerg player did not think that was going to go so well. If the 10 additional lings were right behind the first lings, I think it's a much shorter game.
Yeah, exactly that. I think that Ryojin even overcommitted a little bit to this link follow-up, thinking that it was still going to be effective, that he was still going to get inside. He was like, oh, I'm getting inside, I'm going to make links. But, by the time they're made and cross the map, it's a little bit of a wasted investment. So here's the Disruptor drop that we were talking about. This is an approach that I've been seeing a little bit more of. I personally think things like Muta are a really good option against this. But Ryojin, in spite of scouting it, he already had dropped his roach horn. So instead, he's just making a bunch of drones, and he'll try to hold with what he has. The links are going to be helpful as well if they can spot the Warp Prism leaving, but they didn't. So here the Overlord will see it.
Definitely a different take on an opener. I think it's a lot more fun, frankly. You get to play around with the Warp Prism flying around. You get to disruptor shots, which I think everyone loves. Not when you're on the receiving end, but
Yeah.
otherwise. As a fan of the one doing them. So, but it also does have a couple of neat things as far as just general StarCraft stuff, right? You have the harassment, you have the scouting, and you have the presence. So it's sometimes actually very off-putting for the Zerg to deal with, especially if they hadn't scouted it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, they force out a lot of units too, right? Like where the Zerg wants to be droning up and stuff, and Uncle Toby can now go for a fake-ish third and just kind of move out with a big attack after with a couple Colossus and a bunch of units on the ground. Adepts are nice for the Ling Rambais as well, so let's see if the Disruptor can find anything, but it doesn't really feel like it has to a lot of the time, and Ryojin has been very good with his Lings to make sure that it doesn't get a good shot off on the drones or the roaches.
True that. Very solid. I think back and forth to a certain degree. Uncle Toby's not really doing so much to his opponent, but I think you can tell that they're pretty evenly matched.
Yeah.
With Ragin, maybe, better because he got those lings in. Still getting the drones up. All right, recently hit the 66 and taking the 4th base. I mean, lining up going into Roach Hydra, and Uncle Toby could push out. This is one thing that I think is really difficult for up-and-coming Protosses to master around the Master to GM level. I think is the courage and control to push out with a relatively small army and actually survive. So either you have Protoss players who are like, I have Blink and I have Colossus, I'm going to stay at home because I'm scared. And fair enough. Or you have the overly excited Protosses who are like, I got these 2 things. Let's just go on the map and have fun. Ooh, good dodge there. Good dodge. But the real thing that we watch, like the pros handle this type of composition, is how they're able to both scare the Zerg, but recognize that they also should be scared. So they're very careful about where they move out, where they take positions, have the force field button ready to go, right? And I think Uncle Toby's actually, he is attempting to toe that kind of line, right? Like to walk that tightrope, and he just continues improving on it.
Yeah, he's done a good job of it. He already has a cannon at the 3rd, a shield battery as well. and he dropped a lot of production. Even a second robo, which I'm not sure will come into play for the first attack. But we should be seeing him move out relatively soon. Like, one of the things about the War Prism with speed and the Disruptor is, again, it forces units and it slows down the Zerg's game early enough that the follow-up attack is usually pretty powerful. Looks like a lot of links will go down this time around. Really, really nice shot.
Ah, oh,
Close.
almost got the acceleration problem with the War Prism. Almost bit him in the butt.
Yeah.
As your very like understandable reaction when you're kind of panic picking up with the War Prism is to click on the unit, but that's when the War Prism slows down. So you always want to click past the unit with the War Prism and pick it up. Uncle Toby knows it. It's just it's so instinctual to say, oh, another disruptor, and try and pick it up.
Yeah, also Uncle Toby sees the Lurker then, so he's making additional disruptors, which is a really good choice. But he has to know also that there's the Hive coming up, and when Vipers are out, his army composition gets completely countered by them, because Colossus and Disruptors are both really weak against the Vipers. So we'll see him move out now. A really good Disruptor shot to start here. And I mean, his
Nice.
composition is so strong against Roach Hydra right now.
Yeah, the difficult part of this is the control, right? Like in making sure you don't get surrounded. So either choosing your attack paths correctly or preparing to slap down disruptors and force fields to either get the shots, or even the disruptors can act in a way like force fields. This is the control I'm talking about. Uncle Toby's pretty good about knowing when he actually is powerful, but respecting the Zerg at the same time. And that's what we see here. Ryujin really wants to get some type of surround, but after a couple of nasty attacks into those laser beams, doesn't really have the units to do so.
Yeah, surrounds are not really going to work out too well for you when you have that many force fields as well, because you can just section off one of the sides and then engage the other one, which Uncle Toby has been very good about. And yeah, Vipers are on the way, however, so that is the scary thing for Uncle Toby, who is now transitioning into a triple Stargate behind this, so getting ready for a big tech switch. I would still like to see him push the issue before the Vipers are out, though, because if they get all their energy going and the Zerg gets maxed out, he could still lose all of these key units very easily.
Yeah, Uncle Toby, realizing there might be a bit of a gas situation, got gases up first in that gold base. It does have the gold base when it starts to mine out, so he's in a very good economic position. And the scouting from Uncle Toby's also been very good, kind of because the Zerg messed up. There's absolutely nothing in the main to stop this observer from seeing everything. So that's information you do not want your opponent to have so freely.
Yeah.
But it is. It's so he could see the Lurker Den still wiggly jiggly, knowing the Lurkers don't have all their upgrades. He could see a Spire transforming into a greater Spire. I mean, that is a lot of information there. And this other information gathering is his consistent attacking. He's keeping tabs on the Zerg.
For sure. And now he knows that there is one Viper or two Vipers, and they already used some of their spells. I wouldn't mind him pushing the issue right now, or just looking for an extra fourth or a fifth somewhere else, right? Like whichever base is getting taken right now could be the opening that he needs. Attacking into these Lurkers with the Vipers is dangerous, but if he's gonna have an opening, he should go for it like right away, because the Vipers are mostly out of energy, and he should know that. On the Observer, difficult to have a Spore even at the main because he didn't open Stargate to begin with,
Yeah.
so it's kind of cool. Like, the Observer in the main has gathered so much information. It even sees the Spire going down now. And
Exactly.
yeah, Ryojin now with Vipers, but feedback is available. Decent feedbacks to start.
Oh!
Dude. Nasty.
Oh, those giraffes are just the most obvious target, and I think a temporary. Oh no, a temporary forget on the disruptors, and then a bit of panic, I think, towards the end there. Two fantastic disruptor shots, taking down a lot of roaches. A ton of roaches went down there. That's something that Ryujin would love to be able to afford, as roaches being, you know, the least expensive thing in his arsenal, but his gas. He's having some struggles, having afforded every gas unit that he has, and also trying to fit the Spire in there. That's a little worrying.
Yeah, it's turning into a very difficult game for Ryujin, especially because there's carriers in production too, right? So you usually see this switch backwards a lot of the time, where Protoss players are opening with the Stargate and then they're going into the late game fairly fast, and then they switch onto mass ground. And Uncle Toby's kind of doing it the other way, the more traditional way, I guess you could say, transitioning into that late game as the game actually goes later. And he's doing a really good job of it. And Ryojin has no idea, so it's gonna be very, very difficult to stop once the carriers join the fight. If he can get like 7, 8 of them.
It's certainly one thing that Region would have wanted to have happen is anything on the other side of the map.
Yeah.
For 12 minutes almost, there's been nothing in return. Uncle Toby's able to focus entirely on controlling the army on the front lines and thus controlling the Zerg. So it really makes the game easier for Uncle Toby. Not the whole game is easy, but it makes things easier.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I mean, most of the key units at the front have been accounted for. There's only one Colossus and a couple of Disruptors remaining. But Ryojin has not really been able to transition into anything himself that will make him stronger going into the late game. Those carriers are going to destroy Hydras if there's Storm available as well to go with that. There's just so little that Ryojin is going to be able to do. So here come the last couple of abducts as the Vipers have gathered enough energy. Yeah, Uncle Toby doesn't want to engage into that.
Yeah, he actually doesn't have an observer, no Oracle for Revelation. The one observer that he has is in the main base, so he identifies that, starts one up, but already some damage has been done because of it. Good yoink on that carrier, takes it down with the Hydras. And Uncle Toby starting to bleed out a little bit more than would be comfortable, but because he has so many bases back at home, including a gold, he'd have to really over-dedicate, which I'm actually really scared he's starting to. Actually, this is a problem. Disruptor does get a great shot, but the lurkers were able to get right on top of that army. And, well, there it is. There you have it. Uncle Toby now making a potentially fatal mistake after the acceptable losses earlier.
Another one. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, that was a very expensive attack to take down that hatchery. And not only that, but he revealed his carriers one at a time, right? Like, so he lost, what, 3 or 4? Where he has 4 more in production. So if he had just managed to keep those together and he shows up right now with 8 carriers, I'd still feel really good about his chances no matter what. But instead he just has the 3 with 4 more in production. So yeah, I don't know why he chose to use the carriers at all, because he was doing such a great job of just controlling the game and the area, like and the map with what he had out. And I feel like he could have just let that army wear down while he transitioned and then just pop up with a brand new, more difficult to answer army.
Yeah, I do agree. Gotta believe that it's just a lot of the excitement, thinking, okay, I've got this. The armies looks really small, but the army being able to jump like it did on top of the Protoss army is a real difference maker. And now we have a real struggle here, but I think the carrier count is high enough. Well, actually, the interceptor count is not. So there's 6 carriers, but we're down to already 2 interceptors. Even though they have +2 and otherwise would, I think, be decent, they just never got fully loaded. So this is really awkward.
Yeah, but there is the shield battery overcharge and a really good decision from Uncle Toby to make that Colossus, though it's going to overstep into Lurker Fire. So this is getting dangerous for sure. Those Vipers do not have energy. The Zealots are just going to run into further Lurker Fire. These carriers, I think you almost want to just give up this base, remake your interceptors, and then if Uncle Toby or if Ryojin overcommits, then you can re-engage with those carriers and clear everything out. But until then, just give up that base. There's the next observers too, so these lurkers are kind of doomed.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. And Ryojin, well, had accrued a mineral bank, spent it recently, made the attack that he did. It was great. Counterattacked. Hasn't actually had much time to build up a bank. There is a very small glimmer of hope that if Uncle Toby's able to save, a 4th base, which he doesn't, so there you have it, then he'll be able to make a comeback. But with the loss of the 4th base and the gold starting to mine out, seems unlikely that the win will come in.
Yeah, at the same time, that's a lot of carriers. And
It
there
is
is
true.
disruptors coming. He only has 31 workers as well, so there's 40 more workers on the other side. Army-wise, the Zerg is more expensive, but Hydras against carriers aren't that great. However, if there are no AoE units here with the carriers, I think it might be enough for Ryojin to just step into them. And yeah, I think you should have waited for those disruptors. And yeah, now I think there's little chances here.
Yeah. I do think that was a bit of a mistake, repeat mistake from earlier, too, which was stepping forward without the scouting and underestimating the pounce opportunity of the Zerg. Because, I think there's just I think you need the splash. Totally agree with you to actually have a hope for winning that battle. But I do think you could have possibly saved a certain number of carriers. The Viper Abducts would have already gotten it, but it's a tough loss there. Certainly playing, I think, a fabulous PVZ up
Mhm.
until the overextension and over rallying, I suppose, of the carriers into that third base.
Yeah, most definitely. I think Uncle Toby played a good game. It's a cool style. I think he did a good job of taking his third when he did. Like early mistakes that can be fixed easily as well, like the links getting in, like that shouldn't have happened, right? Like he could have been a little bit faster to the pylon and stuff like that. The Disruptor could have found better shots in an alternate universe, and I'm sure he'll find better shots to start off his game in other situations. So that all pans out really well for his mid game, which went amazing anyway, right? Like despite these things, he had control of the map, control of the game. He traded very very well. And then the transition, I liked the transition to carriers was cool. It's only that he showed them one at a time with Vipers available, and then yeah, like you were saying, that overextension was nasty. I think Uncle Toby had this in the bag with a few little tweaks.
Hmm. I also think it's worth talking about. We're talking about some, higher level stuff here because we are watching two pretty darn good players. But I think Uncle Toby, gotta imagine those High Templars initially warped in to counter the Vipers, right, for feedbacks. You had mentioned if he had Storm, and he didn't actually have it until the end of the game, I think, is when it finally finished. So I would also add maybe Storm a bit sooner because the pocket money was there, so that you have the oh no button
Yeah.
in case your disruptors get pulled and your colossus get pulled. You have a tertiary splash. But I also think that's where you have to kind of even think about going into a like micro battler or what's it called, the
Unit testers.
test mod. There you go, the unit test, and actually configuring the hotkeys because we're talking about one of the higher level and more difficult to execute compositions, which is keeping your army far enough away, slapping down force fields, popping the guardian shield, throwing up the disruptor shots, making sure your charge lots don't run all over the place, getting the feedbacks in, and it's certainly not simple as much as people want to say that Protoss is going to be the more simple
Oh
choice.
no, yeah, it's very difficult. Yeah, Protoss has to like a lot of the time. The thing with Protoss is you want to clump up your army, like that's when it's strongest. But there's so much spell casting, so it's a different it's different micro that doesn't look as fancy as Terra micro, where you're actively like box selecting units and sending them back and trying to attack on a very short pace and window. With Protoss, it's more like you have to use your keyboard a lot to kind of cast all the spells that you need to cast. And yeah,
Yeah.
like I think disruptors were even fine too because there was no corruptors for the most part. So disruptors are actually just as good, if not better, than Templars against the Hydras and against like infestors with potential neuroparasite. They're probably the better response. But then Templars are good also at zoning, and Templars are really good
Mm.
against corruptors if they should ever show up, and for the feedback, right? So
Yeah.
both units kind of have their strengths. But even with disruptors there, if he waited for 4 disruptors before moving out, I still think he had a pretty good chance of winning that.
I might have. Yeah. Thank you very much, Uncle Toby, for giving us the replay. I hope you enjoyed a little more cast in that than analysis because it was kind of exciting, but well played. And yeah, it was also a tough one. I think I'm not sure of the MMR difference, but I think you see that golden border from a grandmaster, and even if you are very close to it, there's always that fear. I don't know how long it's been since you haven't been Grandmaster Cats, but for me, it was one of those things where I remember going from Diamond to Masters way back when, and I was on the progression to get the Masters. Yet every time I saw a Masters portrait, I was like, oh no, I'm going to lose. I'm the worst. It's like, no way I'm ever going to get there. And you make Masters, and it's like, no big deal. But to go toe to toe for as long as he did, it's yeah, very impressive. Especially if
Yeah.
there was like a 500, 600 MMR difference, which sometimes StarCraft gives you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it be like that.
Yeah. Ryojin is 5100, 143 in Grandmaster right now.
Oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
not sure about Uncle Toby. I still get nervous when I like pop into like Future or like 4GG or something on the NA
Oh
ladder.
yeah.
Those guys are scary.
Yeah, that's true. Eventually you get to be so good that even the name starts scaring you because you realize you're facing semi-pros or full-time pros.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that does it for the I think the replay portion of this particular broadcast. But guys, we do have a giveaway going on. So reminder, exclamation point key for me, where the 4 is the number. You can see that down in the bottom right to participate in the giveaway if you so choose. So be spamming that in chat. Thank you so far for watching, but we are going to go to a slightly more extended break, still not very long. And when we come back, we'll be talking about some of the things happening in the StarCraft 2 scene.
Nightmare! Nightmare!
What is it this time?
We're down by 1. My shield is at full power. When there's 10 seconds left, the ball goes up in the air and I rev up to get it and then slow, lag, everything gone.
Relax. You have Norton 360 for gamers with Game Optimizer. You don't have to worry about lag.
I have Game Optimizer. Everything good?
More power.
Breathe in. You are a gaming legend. You are a king among streamers. You have power over hackers, malware, and viruses. You are cyber safe.
And welcome back, everyone. So this is the portion of the broadcast where we talk about things basically happening in StarCraft 2, which includes tournaments. So we already discussed a little bit about the Microsoft acquisition, and we kind of were both positive, I guess, on that regard, hopeful for additional StarCraft content in the future. But we recently had the Last Chance tournament in StarCraft 2. And very shortly, we're going to be going into Katowice, so the global championships of the EPT circuit. So that'd be a good time to talk a little bit about this and just kind of give a rundown of what happened, what we thought was interesting, and what that could mean for Katowice. There might be a small chance as well that we talk about Super Tournament. So just a fair warning to anyone who hasn't watched it yet, spoilers. So I think that kind of covers it. Hopefully, no one gets super mad at me. But yeah, Last Chance, Cats. We both cast a couple of days of it. I think you had more fun days. And we did the first day together, and that was fun. But you had the second fun day, and then I had the tough finals. That was not so great. Mario did end up being champion.
Yeah, I mean, in dominant fashion too. But yeah, I mean, Group A was pretty fun, right? Like with time finishing first. I mean, that was kind of crazy. Laser put up a fight and started off with guns blazing against Rogue as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed both of the groups that I casted. I think they both had pretty big surprises. So yeah, what was your favorite of what you casted, I guess?
Of what I cast? Yeah, that's a good question. My favorite series, I may not have a specific favorite series. In a way, I really like Time Maru, even though the last couple of games got kind of worse, I guess. It became more apparent that Maru was finding his groove or finding the way to defeat time. But I think that was really fun. Another standout moment that's not exactly my favorite, but just really comes to mind is our deep dive into Zest's not quite immaculate mechanics in his PVT. Which, you know, that's such a debate by now. It was kind of a agreed upon thing in the community that Zest just mechanically had a couple more obvious slip ups, I suppose, than other pros. And then at some point there was like a counter movement where people were like, no, Zest is he's just holding on to money so he can warp in wherever he wants. And it's like, that's part of the Protoss race. It's not all of it. And then there was the Verse Time series where he just simply he got a little confuzzled. Time actually really threw Zest off. So that's what I remember, because I remember being concerned about Zest too. Zest had gone from every tournament playing in it and winning it to obviously a bit of a break, like burning the candle at both ends. But I think now he's back in form. This is where the spoilers come in.
Yeah, I think he's been looking pretty good. I think that part of it is also like just where he allocates his attention, because a lot of the time Cest strikes me as the type of player that will have and strive for those perfect games where you look at units lost tab and it's like he hasn't lost a unit. And I think he just pays more attention and like to micro and like just allocates his attention a little bit more on those areas than other pros. So that's probably part of it too. But yeah, he's been looking pretty good. I'm not sure if it's fair to say in the last few weeks, but at least leading up to this tournament, he was looking very, very strong. And yeah, for me, Time was probably the surprise of the whole tournament, making it into the semifinals. He was the last non-Korean remaining. Defeated DRG, who did amazing in his group, defeating Cyril himself. So yeah, Time was amazing to see, and from the group that I casted, I both enjoyed A and D, but DRG beating Cyril was just like super cool for me. Like both of those series were amazing from the Korean circuit.
And I didn't get to cast the quarterfinals day, but I think that had the most good games of a lot of tournaments, to be honest. It's like the quality of games that particular day was astounding, and 3 out of 4 went 3-2, with Maro just being a little too good, not letting Dark have a second game. So I think with Last Chance, it had, as far as the player performance, I don't think it actually is worth putting a lot of weight on it, because we've seen time and time again someone like Rogue not do particularly well for about a month and then just decide to win stuff. So him losing in a group stage, okay. Cyril doesn't usually lose in group stage, but let's go ahead and just say that he can. That's human. Same with Clem. And Raynor even is the most, I guess, kind of famous example now, where he was doing poorly last year before Katowice, and then he ended up winning it. So player performance, I don't think we can call this a magic 8-ball that tells us the future. But as far as the state of StarCraft, I was actually pretty shocked. Maybe I was impressed. There is a lot of meta changes. We found Mech again versus Zerg, and we found a lot of the fake Terran proxy and factory expand stuff. The Terrans are once again kind of deciding to confuse the Protoss, as opposed to sitting the straight up games. So I was really excited, because it's not like we changed patches. It's not like we changed maps. And yet still they're developing.
Yeah, that's always good to see. And I think a little bit of movement, like if Terran players are actively like trying to think of new avenues and stuff to be annoying with their build orders and just mixing up things, it will reflect. I mean, that happens oftentimes with Protoss when there was a new patch. Like it becomes so difficult for people to figure out all of the new stuff that Protoss comes up with. But yeah, Terran players, I don't know. It seems like they get into this groove where sometimes they just do the same thing for a year and then they all start changing and doing crazy stuff. And it wasn't even someone like Bunny or something like that in this tournament, who is one of the more, I guess, creative Terrans, but just rather everyone was kind of mixing it up and having their own flair to it. So that's really good to see. And yeah, Maru in prime form. I mean, yeah, I think I've been saying for me, Cyril is the GOAT for a long time, but Maru has to be, like right now, I'm not sure who's the GOAT, Like I think Maru might be the GOAT now.
Yeah, I think if you were involved in the discussion and you weren't just already one-sided, if you were like, well, I could see your point,
Yeah.
I think the recent performance of Maru has pushed most people over the edge. He's it's actually rather astounding. I even find myself being a little repetitive. I'll talk to pros, and a question I'll ask them is, what makes Maru so different? And I'm like, I keep asking this question and no one has like a really concrete answer, but just he does everything better. He's does everything better, and he kind of leads the charge as far as maybe meta development, sure, but then also just the way to perfect certain stages of the game. So specifically late game, right?
Mhm.
And he says he doesn't really appreciate TVZ all that much right now, but I think every Terran looks to him as to how to play super late game versus Zerg. So he's once again kind of the magic kid, not a kid anymore, but magic kid of StarCraft, where you can't help but gush over him, even if you're trying to constrain yourself.
Yeah, he's really something else. Another good performance was by Hero Marine. I think he took Maru to the edge, almost took down
Yeah.
Raynor as well. And it wasn't like the cleanest games in terms of micro. And that is one thing about Hero Marine. I think that he is still got development on the micro side of things to do. Like he was getting hit by baneling shots and stuff or by rolling banelings like so often, but
Yeah.
still his macro is just immaculate, kind of like a reverse Cest almost. um, so the fact that he can play to that level and take Maru to the limits and take Raynor to the limits and still has room to grow, I think that that's really cool to see from
Mhm.
Big Gabe. So yeah, looking forward to what he can do in coming
Very
years as
true.
well.
Yeah, so I guess to kind of wrap up this last chance segment, so what would you suggest people to watch? I am going to kind of cheat and just blanket say the quarterfinal day. You just watch every series there, and there's really no boring series. They're all really fun. Maybe especially Cure Zest, because that was just a bunch of wild games.
For sure. Well, I have to go with what my favorite was, which was DRG versus Herald. I think that the coolest thing about that series, and spoiler alert for anyone that hasn't watched it, but I'll try to be as vague as I can be. But basically, DRG played the series, and he played the man,
Mm.
and so it was very fun to commentate on, and very fun to speculate as of to what DRG's plan should be, and then seeing the RG actually fall into a similar line of thinking. And then in the interview, he confirmed that was a line of thinking, which was basically playing to his previous series, where he kind of took a win from Cyril on a mind game front and then all in to follow it up. And then the next series, he goes for something very similar, but instead goes for the macro approach, where Cyril is forced to make units kind of preemptively and play scared, and the RG takes control of the game. And you have to be a very well-rounded player to kind of have the choice between both of those styles and play them to perfection to be one of the best in the world. So that was my favorite, and yeah, DRG is my old mentor, so I was so happy to see him win.
There's a lot of old fans for DRG. I think he's
Mhm.
got that kind of base cheering for him. But yeah, it sounds like ZVZ in general is becoming more of the random is a poor word, I suppose, but complicated matchup. People give PvP a lot of credit, and they should, for being kind of wacky and out there. But ZVZ, it sounds like more and more you talk to the guys, and they're just all like, well, you're kind of like countering what they usually do, but there's no guarantee because they're also studying your VODs, and there's so many builds you can do. So even that matchup's continuing to develop. Um, and I guess to wrap it all up, guys, if you are interested in watching the VODs, I think you all know where to go with the ESL_SC2. But then the replays also are available if you want to get into the nitty gritty. They are released after every event. Quite fortunate for that. But moving on to Katowice, that is happening in 3 weeks, just about. Good enough. And we talked a little bit about what the last chance tournament could predict, and I said basically we can't predict, but still, we're gonna try. And that is, but still, we're gonna start off with, I'd say, maybe looking at the round of 36. So we can touch on, I suppose, the whole race for Katowice that ended up being not so much a race. Unfortunately, Max Pax was supposed to go. He is unable to for reasons only known to him. But Lambo gets to kind of sneak on in there into the
Mhm.
round of 24, actually. So he was going to go to Katowice, but he gets bumped further forward. But the round of 36, that's the bloodbath. You have to kind of grind it out the entire tournament, all of the days, go up against still very impressive players, and only 4 people make it out. So, who
Yeah.
do you think, looking at this list of participants of the round of 36, who do you think is
Um,
going to make it out?
should I name them so the chat can participate and type their favorites too? Maybe I'll say
Sure.
all the list. Okay, so for Protoss we have Creator, Hero, Skillus, Astrea, Cyan, Has, Nice, and Probe. For Terran, we have Beyond, Percival, Spirit, Kelasur. And for Zerg, we have Armani, DRG, Ragnarok, and Elaser. Um, there is no bracket yet, so
Right.
it's impossible to actually predict who will advance because we don't know the matchups. But from Protoss, I really like Skillus and Astrea a lot, and Hero has been doing really good lately as well from Korea. But Skillus, I mean, he took down Raynor back to back in EPT Open Cups, looking very strong. He has his own style. Um, and Astrea, the North American representative in this round, and he's an incredible player. So hoping for those two. From Terran, I think the obvious suspect will be Beyond. And from Zerg, I think maybe the RG or a Laser can sneak in.
Yeah.
That's what I would like to see anyway.
Okay. I'm kind of influenced by a couple of the pros I was talking to. Euthermal said that he was very hopeful for the Zergs, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Armani, DRG, and Ragnarok. And he had really good things about, say, Hero and Creator, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he said Creator, Hero, DRG, and maybe Beyond. And he kind of convinced me. I was like,
Yeah.
because I'm waffling too, and it really depends on how the bracket looks. But I looked at it, and it does feel like we might have the last 11 years of StarCraft once again, where the Koreans make it through and the non-Koreans get close but no cigar type situation. I really believe in a laser. I do. And with how ZVZ is going, I think you can't really say if the Zergs go up against each other who's going to determine to be the best. I think even they're saying it. Ragnarok came into TSL and said, I don't feel great in ZVZ, and then won, I think, 2 of them. But I'm going to go with Hero, Beyond, Laser, and DRG.
Yeah, I like that list. It's a good one. I think Astrea can do it though, and Skillus too. I think that they can definitely surprise anyone. And Astrea, I don't know. Astrea just has that that stage power where I feel like he grows against like better opponents because he's such a trickster and such a smart player, and he has his own play style as well. And I feel like he still hasn't had like a result where people look to him, like especially from Korea, where people look to him and fear his name like they might Serrals. So I think he still has a lot of upset potential, a lot of potential to be overlooked and kind of overperform as a result. So
True.
hoping for him for sure.
And it's not, like he's just a solid Protoss that they overlook and underestimate. He's also got some of his own builds. He's a bit weird. So that is true. I think there is absolutely chances for upsets. Even Kelazur, I think even a couple of matchups, a bit of bracket luck perhaps could surprise us. Nice actually has been more and more solid. I believe in him more than the, I guess, variety that is Haas, who we always look as a potential. But Nice is actually just getting to be one of the better players in the StarCraft 2 scene.
Yeah.
Same with Cyan. Like, don't want to throw them under the bus. But it'll be tough. It'll be tough for any of the non-Koreans, actually, just in general. So,
for sure.
Yeah, I am really happy though. Just before we move on to the main event, I am really happy that Hero is doing so well. I honestly did not see him getting to the point that he has by now. I thought it'd take a couple more months. But apparently he's back to his hero ways, doing things that other people wouldn't do and couldn't do, and benefiting him more often than not. Because even old Hero would do things that no one should do, and he would get reprimanded for it. He would fail for it, but no, he would just do it. He'd make it work more often than not.
Yeah, Hero was crazy at his peak. It's very difficult to associate Hero with being the best player in the world at any point, but actually going into BlizzCon, I want to say 2018, or that was the one that Sarah won. I don't know if it was that one year before or 1 year after, but he was with us, and I I checked the betting odds and stuff, and he was actually the favorite going into one of those BlizzCons, the one that he qualified for. Like he was actually seen as the best player in the world for something like 4 or 5 months. So I think that Hero is an absurd player, and I'm happy that he's back and he's recovered, I guess, as fast as he has. So, but the sky's the limit for him for sure.
I think so. And then that was just the round of 36 players. These guys are going to get tested faster, I guess, than the round of 24, which has a
Mhm.
couple more chances and just a little more time to prepare. But of the list, I'll break it down this time. So, of the people waiting in that particular segment, it is Protoss, Trap, Zest, Showtime, Neeb, and Zaun coming in from the combined standings. Terran is Maru, Cure, Bunny, Dream, Clem, Hero Marine, Special, and Time. A lot of Terrans. And Zerg, Raynor, Serral, Dark, Rogue, Solar, Lambo, and Scarlet. So we have a great mixture of arguably the best of their race in the world, as well as the fan favorites, as well as the non-Korean foreigner hopes. It's I don't want to say it's one of the best Katowices, because I think you say that and everyone just immediately kind of pushes you away and is like, okay, commentator, calm down. But I do think we have a lot of cool things going into the event.
Yeah, I mean, I think that every Katowice, when you look at the list, it's the best possible list that you could get at that point in time. So yeah, I mean, I look at this list, and even looking at the previous list, and as impressive as it was, almost any player that you would bump down to that stage would probably make it out, right? Like, this is just an insane list
Yeah.
of players. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Sound has been doing better and better. He still has a lot of improvement to do. Showtime recently broke into the top 10 of Aligulag again at his highest
Mm.
rating ever as well. Neeb, I hope I haven't seen enough of Neeb to like really convince me. Maybe one of the weaker looking players in the list,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, if he turns up, we know what he's capable of. He was one of the first and strongest USA North American hopes ever.
Yep.
So I don't know. Who are you looking forward to here to surprise us, maybe as a dark horse?
Yeah, surprising us. I feel like a very easy answer would be like Zaun.
Mhm.
People would be like, oh yeah, he's performing well and he's gotten pretty deep in tournaments and people continually underestimate him, so he could kind of surprise everyone. And that would be an easy answer, but maybe I should go with like the fan answer, which is Scarlet. She I don't know if she's been taking a break, because Neeb, by my understanding, it took a little break a month ago, and who
Mhm.
knows if he's been grinding. We just don't know, actually. There are particular performances coming into Katowice that are in question, but Scarlet did perform very well in the DreamHack winter, surprisingly well, and kind of along the lines of a Neeb, right? If she does show up, we know what she's capable of. She
Yeah.
can win tournaments. Do I think she's going to win? Maybe not, but I think she could get to a place where fans would like. I think a lot of fans start to cheer for Scarlet, and then she does pretty well, and then she kind of hits this point where it's back to round of 16s, and people are like, "Oh darn it!" I don't know. This one could be a surprising round of 8 or round of 4, and then I do think Maru is going to win. I think this is the easiest answer right now. Maru has shown very few weaknesses.
Yeah, Maru's definitely looking absurd, near unbeatable. So I mean, it's still super exciting to see the list of players and seeing a potential like Serral Maru or something in the cards. That could be awesome. And I'm completely with you on Scarlet. And I think Scarlet, just traditionally and from the beginning, has always been a player that has really strong mechanics. But I think on the ladder, she plays way below her level, or even in smaller tournaments she plays way below her level because she doesn't like invest herself into it. And this is kind of like a cop out excuse, like for most pros, like like, oh, I wasn't really trying, or like I'm lazy, I don't really practice and stuff like that. But for Scarlet, it actually does apply, where she has that pedigree, she has that class that follows her for a very long time in her career, where she used to work on her mechanics so much. But she also has that variety of playstyle, um, where she can kind of do it all. She's not a one-dimensional player, and she's a very brainy player. So the similar to what I was saying about Estrella, but maybe to a greater degree, the greater the opposition for Scarlet, I think the more chances that she will grow to that standard and to meet some of the best players in the world, and oftentimes take them down, because she's very intelligent. She has all the tools in her toolkit, and she can really turn it up. Like, she can really be like, okay, time to stop messing around. Like, let's focus, and let's spend all the energy that I have on this one.
Yeah.
And yeah.
There's a lot of things to talk about, honestly, for Katowice. The presence of the non-Koreans, the domination of Maru, the arrival of Rogue, deciding he just wants to win. Is it truly Zest's last tournament? Like the last 5 were. Who knows? Could he even win it? You know,
That
he's
would be
been
cool.
performing fantastic. All questions that eventually will be answered. Again, that's tournament starting in about 3 weeks, February 20th, I want to say. Yeah, so 3 weeks to a month, which we hope to see you guys in chat, being cool, cheering on your favorite players. And I think that the plan is to have a lot of these, if not everyone, offline. So no promises. I am not saying anything on behalf of VSL here, but there is that little bit of hype, which is going to be offline performance,
Hypers.
even playing ground once again. So certainly looking forward to that and hoping that we don't have our dreams dashed once again.
That would be terrible. That
It would,
be
yes.
But,
I feel like
you
I
know.
shouldn't have said anything. Just let it be.
It'll be fine. It'll probably be offline almost for show. And
Exactly.
yeah, it should be great.
Yeah. But that's what's going to be happening in the future of StarCraft. Of course, all the kind of not even random really at this point, but the steady flow of online tournaments are still happening for the month leading up to Katowice. And you'll see the players who start to maybe turtle a little bit, start to hide some of their strategies, stop performing in these tournaments or playing at all. And those who just don't care, probably like Bjorn and Zest, honestly, they're going to be like, I don't care, whatever, you can see everything. I'm going to win this $20 tournament and this $100,000 tournament, no problem. But it's always fun leading into it. So I'm sure we'll be talking more about this on our streams as well as the other talent, the on-camera commentators. But I want to thank you guys for joining us, and thank you to Norton Gaming as well for being so cool, for putting us on here to talk about StarCraft, and for working with the EPT. If you guys want to participate in the giveaway, it is once again key for me. So exclamation point, and then that with the 4 being the number in the bottom right. There you go. So that kind of wraps it up. I hope you all are as excited for Katowice as we are, and show a lot of love to Norton Gaming in chat. These guys are really cool, so definitely do that. Thank you, Cats, for hosting this alongside with me, and I think we'll just see you guys later, hopefully for some more StarCraft alongside Norton Gaming. See you guys.